Hey everybody, welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron. Today, this video, we're gonna continue working on groundskeeper and really put the hammer down on this thing. We're kind of on a truck show crunch because we have a show that we want to take it to for sure here, and it's called Trucking the Trace in Tupelo, Mississippi on October, I want to say 15th to the 17th, something like that. I put the ad for the show on my Harmon Garage Facebook page and also on the community in YouTube. So if you want all the details for it, you can check that out. But that being said, I've got 2 months to completely redo this truck, and that's painting it, lowering it, everything. So we're gonna hammer down. There's gonna be a lot of videos on old groundskeeper, and we are gonna get it done. But I left off last video, I was tearing stuff down and had to leave, but the next day I'm back. We're gonna keep up with the teardown and start getting this thing cleaned up so we can start putting it back together. So first thing I'm gonna do today is pull hood hinges off, pull the motor mounts off, get the exhaust out of here. Just anything else that I don't want to paint or would be easier to clean up if it was off or anything like that, it's all going to come off. And then finish taking the interior out. I got to take out the seat, vinyl floor mat. Other than changing the floor mat and the door panels and recovering the seat, there's really not a lot I need to do to the interior other than clean it up. So like the seat belts and all that stuff, they can just stay in here. And the interior is mostly going to be cleaning. And then at some point in time, when it gets closer to painting it, or when I get ready to lower it, whichever happens first, the bed will come off. But I don't need to do that right now. So I'm going to tear the rest of the stuff off the frame from the Firewall forward. We'll finish getting everything out of the interior, and then we'll start cleaning up all this old metal. So here we go. All right, I'm going to keep taking stuff off of here and go through it, and I'm going to try to keep talking to you guys why I do it, give you more information without just standing there talking, and also so we don't just time lapse, boom, it's done. So I've been making phone calls and searching and everything else, trying to find more information on what these trucks look like. I talked to the guy that owns it. He talked to his buddy that used to work there and said that it for sure had steel wheels, white steel wheels with dog dish hubcaps. Made a couple phone calls to people that I know that have parts and stuff, and I came across a set of dog dish hubcaps. We have those now. Steel wheels, those are easy to find pretty much, and I got all the stuff to lower the rear. We got a set of drop spindles possibly coming for the front, and still searching for a picture so I know what the only thing I really need to know is what the logo on the doors look like. I know what kind of number they had, where the number was. I know the color scheme. I know what wheels they had. I know what mirrors need to go on it. All that stuff. I just need to know what the logos on the door look like, and I can pretty much go from there and get it the way we want it with just that. That's all I really need is the logos on the door. So we're still looking for a picture. It'd be cool to have a picture of a whole truck anyways, and so we're still looking for that. But I'm back to talking and not working, so I'm going to grab the right socket because I brought the wrong one over, and then we'll get to tearing this stuff down. Like I said in the little intro, there's not a whole lot left to take off out here. Just going to knock it out real quick. The hardest thing is going to be the motor mounts because they're kind of pain to get to, but not that big a deal. So we got the hinges off. I'll get in here and try to get to these motor mounts. There's 2 or 3 of these big daddy long leg spiders on this truck, and I see them on every part that I take off, and I'm like, oh, maybe they're gone, and every time I go to something else, they found somewhere else to get on this truck. Like they refuse to leave their home. I'm not going to take the motor mount towers off. I can clean up around and paint them. I'm just taking the motor mounts off because we're putting new ones on it. These are pretty trashed. Actually, they're not terrible, but we got the motor out. We got brand new ones, so we'll change them out. We'll clean up, paint everything underneath it. I'll bring you guys in here in a minute and show you, but because this was an inline 6 truck, it's got this brace that goes from the motor mount tower to the motor mount tower. And I've never seen one on a V8 truck, only on inline 6 trucks. And I know that the oil pans on the V8s get real close to this cross member. So I don't know that a V8 will fit with this cross member in here, or this brace in here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off just because I don't want to clean everything up and paint it. And put the motor in, and it won't sit down all the way because of this brace, and then I got to pull everything back out and all that stuff, and it doesn't need it. So we're just going to get rid of it and go on without it. Alright, got that motor mount off. We'll send that over to the scrap pile. We'll get this other one off and move on to the next thing. Alright, well, I've gotten some more done, and I spent a lot of time on the phone this morning trying to get more information, source parts, get them here quick, because I really want to have this thing done, have it at that show. It's going to be cool. So I went ahead and got the intermediate shaft and the steering box off. I got the drag link all disconnected from the frame. I just have to take the tie rods off after I pull the wheels off. I got the brake proportioning valve off. I've unhooked everything from the frame rails. I ended up taking the motor mount towers off because I couldn't get to one of the motor mount bolts because of all this crap that was built up inside there. So I figure I didn't want all that crap built up inside there. So 4 more bolts, went ahead, took them off. Now we can clean underneath them, clean them better before we paint them. What else did I get done? A bunch of stuff. The frame's pretty well stripped except the suspension from the Firewall forward. So it's getting ready to be cleaned up. I was talking to the owner of the truck, and I was gonna paint the Firewall and the insides of the fenders semi-gloss black or low gloss black like I normally do, but we talked about it and decided that we want to leave it the original green. It has all the assembly line numbers on it. It's got the 655 right there. It's got a 43 over here. So I'm gonna clean it really good like I did on Rum Runner if you saw that video, and kind of polish it up, and we'll leave it like it is. And then I have to, the passenger fender that was already on this truck had been replaced. It's like a blue color under the black, and I have to replace that driver fender because it's tore up and we don't want to fix it, don't have time to fix it. We've got a good fender we're just going to put on there. So I'm going to get a little bit of paint mixed, or I might just go ahead and get all the paint, but I'm going to paint the insides of the fenders to match what the color is supposed to be, and then we can bolt them back on after everything else up here is done, and then we can paint the outside, and I don't have to worry about backmasking and all that stuff. They'll be the same color. They'll be painted up to the lip. Everything will be good. So just trucking along. I'm getting ready to put it up on jack stands, take the front tires off, and then I can pull the tie rods off and get the whole drag link and tie rod assembly out. I'll pull the front shocks off. We made some phone calls and have the drop spindles for the front coming. They should be here in a few days. So I know I've got 2 months or 2.5 months or whatever till this show, but for me, I'm in crunch time because something comes up, one of my kids has to go to the doctor, my wife has to take them, I got to stay home with the little one, something, you know, every once in a while there's days I have to take off, and parts availability these days isn't the greatest, so just stuff like that. I want to make sure I've got every day that I can to work on this truck to make it perfect with the vision that we have for it to make it to that show. So if I got to work around the clock every night for the last 2 weeks, 7 days a week before the show, this thing will be done for that show, and it will be exactly what the vision in our head is, and it's going to be, it'll be perfect. So working on getting parts here, still working on the truck, but I'm gonna, like I said, jack it up, pull the front wheels off, and pull the rest of the parts that are going to come off, and then we can start cleaning everything. So we're going to keep on going. I'll keep you updated as the progress continues, and we'll just get her done. You guys haven't gotten too bored waiting for an update, have you? I sure hope not. Well, running out of room in my shop for parts. They're everywhere. And you probably think I've just been sitting around here not doing anything, drinking water, sitting in front of the fan, which you could be right, but no. I figured since I had to put the drop spindles and lowering springs and all that stuff on anyways, I might as well pull all the suspension and everything off before I clean it up and paint it. That way I can clean up all the control arms and suspension parts and all that and put them back on cleaned and painted, and I can do a better job of cleaning and painting the chassis. So you guys ready to see how much I've gotten done? Alright, she's stripped. Not gonna pull these lines out because they run back to the fuel tank. I don't want to cut them. It's the rear brake line, the fuel feed line, and the vent. I don't want to cut them. I don't want to pull them out all the way to the tank. So I just undid all the clamps that hold them to the frame pretty far back so I could move them around and work around them. But other than that, I'm not taking that engine cross member out because there's not really any reason to. I can clean up around all that and paint it. So, real quick, another little history deal. So when I was doing all the research on the truck the other day, looking around and everything, I noticed that the odometer said 48,000, yada, yada, yada. So I looked down at the brake pedal, and the whole side of it's worn off. Like, you can tell the brake pedal's had a foot on it a lot. So I'm like, oh, 148,000 miles, it's an 81, you know, that's just the way it is. But then I started tearing the truck apart, and as I was taking stuff apart, it has factory brake rotors on it. It has factory calipers on it. It has, I believe, from what I can tell, it has the original brake pads from the factory on it. None of the ball joints or anything have ever been changed. The uppers are still riveted into the control arms. You can just tell it's all factory parts. Now, and they're all tight. They're all good. They all got plenty of grease in them. No movement. Everything is perfect, ready to drive. There ain't no way this truck's got 148,000 miles on it with all original suspension and brakes. Nothing ever changed, and everything is tight, like tight. So you can call me a liar if you want to, but I'm gonna go out there and say this truck only has 48,000 miles on it. Which, when it was at the school, they probably used it to tow around a little trash trailer or a little trailer with lawnmower on it or something like that, and it probably never left the campus, which the campus is good size for a university, but I mean, it's maybe 2-3 miles across, so if that, maybe only a mile. So they could drive this truck around that campus all day long and only put 10 miles on it. Like, that's not a strange possibility. And the last record I have of it, somebody being in it, from those receipts that I found in the glove box, was 1999, and the school got rid of it 96, 97. So there is an inspection sticker on the window for 2007, but I don't think it got driven that long. I honestly think it only has 48,000 miles on it, which is exciting. Also, low mileage, custom order, work truck. It just keeps adding up. It just keeps getting cooler and cooler to me. You guys might think I'm goofy, and I am, but it just keeps getting cooler and cooler to me, and I'm super excited about it. You might notice I'm banging a lot of work out in a short amount of time. I got all kinds of drive to get this truck going. Got a vision in my head of what it's going to look like, and I just want to get it to that vision. Like, I'm super stoked about it. So I got the exhaust off, I got all the suspension off, all the steering off, pretty much everything. I'm gonna undo some clamps on these wires that go to the rear, let them hang down out of the way. I'm gonna take all these little hold downs, ties, everything off, and that'll be the last little thing I gotta do. And then I can start cleaning all this up, getting ready to smooth it out and paint it. So I'm gonna get all that little stuff off. I'm gonna take the vacuum to it and get as much of the loose stuff off as I can to start with, and probably sweep up the floor underneath it because it's got 40 years of, I don't think anybody's ever washed me, stuck in every crevice. So clean up the floor, clean up all the loose stuff I can on the truck. At one point in time, this was somebody's home, but I'm gonna start getting her cleaned up, and I'll film some of that for you guys. got it all vacuumed out. Then I took a little thin putty knife and a flat blade screwdriver and a wire brush and knocked down all the dirt, clumps of stuff, cleaned out everything I could all over the frame. So the next step's gonna be purple or maroon Scotch-Brite. I'm gonna go over it all real good and use it to clean the rest of the dirt and contaminants and whatever off the metal, but also at the same time it's gonna scuff up the paint and stuff that's still on there so that the paint bonds to it better. So I'm gonna grab some Scotch-Brite and start cleaning and sanding and whatever you want to call it. So here we go. Alright, so I've been Scotch-Briting, cleaning, got it all the way through, and wiped everything down with wax and grease remover. So the whole firewall down to this lip right here goes all the way across. It's gonna stay original. I'm gonna clean it really good, best I can. Clean everything. I'll tape it off right here, and then from here down on the body it's gonna be sound deadener, like rubberized truck bed coating. I'm gonna tape it off on the outside here, and everything in here all the way across inside the transmissions tunnel and over to the same spot on the other side is gonna be truck bed coating. Frame is all scraped, sanded, Scotch-Brited, wiped down with wax and grease remover, engine cross member, front cross member, everything. So paint doesn't really stick to the truck bed coating. So what I'm gonna do is get my paint and paint the frame rails completely all over. Let it sit there and dry for a little bit, and if I got to put a second coat on it, I'll put a second coat on it. But anyways, we're gonna do all the painting, make sure the painting is done, let it tack up, dry, whatever, and then I'll come back and put the tape line that I need, and then I'll spray the rubberized undercoating under there, because I'm not concerned with getting a little bit of overspray from the rubberized undercoating on the frame once it's painted, because it'll be fine. But if I paint the rubberized undercoating first and get overspray on the frame and then paint the frame, it may not cover good. It might not stick to the rubberized undercoating. So I'm gonna get my paint stuff done. That's ready to paint, all wiped down, cleaned, everything. So I'm gonna get some paint going. We're gonna paint up the frame and the cross members and all that stuff, and move on to the next step. Alright, got this frame back here all painted up and looking great. It's had a little bit of time to sit there and tack up, so now I'm going to go back with some tape and tape off all this stuff like I said I was going to, and then we'll come back in with the rubberized bed coating and spray the lower part, front of the cab here. All right, I think that's going to be enough tape. I'll start spraying a little bit in the area you can't really see, like over here behind the inner fender, and make sure I'm not going to get any overspray up here where we don't want it. And then if we're good, we're good. If not, throw some more tape on there, but we'll keep going. All right, so the frame's all painted, nice shiny gloss black, inside, outside, cross members, top, bottom, everything. We got all the undercoating done down here. It looks fantastic. Now you may ask why I undercoated that. Usually when I clean these up and paint the engine compartments, I undercoat the whole firewall. But because we're trying to make this truck significant and, you know, leave some history with it, we decided to leave the firewall green. I already told you that. And it's got paint code right there, cab assembly line number right there. It's already the green, and it has some character. So we decided to leave that like that. So I didn't spray the undercoating on the whole thing. Now the undercoating is a protector and a sound deadener. That's the biggest thing. Where I sprayed it, it's a heat resistant and sound deadener. Right where I sprayed it is right where your feet always are, and right where the exhaust manifolds and the transmission and all that are gonna be. So I like to spray it on there. It looks clean and has other purposes. So we sprayed that down there. Got the frame done. I'm gonna let that undercoating sit for a little while. That stuff tacks up really fast, but I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna start cleaning all this firewall, cowl. I'm gonna clean all the dirt, all the bugs, all the cobwebs, all the mouse pee, whatever else off of it. And then once I get it clean, I'm gonna go back and use some like paint restoring kind of wax on it to get it all cleaned up and looking the best we can. And then I haven't quite decided yet, but I was thinking about these fiberglass air boxes. They get like When they're old and been sitting for a while, you don't want to touch them because you'll end up with a bunch of fiberglass in you. So I'm thinking about cleaning this up as good as I can and then taping it off and putting some clear coat on it so it'll still keep the look and all that, but it'll look a little bit nicer, and it won't have, you know, if you lean on it, you're not going to get all the fiberglass stuck in your arm. So I might do that, I might not, I haven't decided. I got to kind of look and see how just spraying clear coat onto fiberglass will affect. I don't really know. So I'm going to check into that. I may do that. I may just clean it up and leave it like it is. But I'm going to let that sit for a little while, and then we'll start cleaning on that. I started cleaning on it with the cleaner. Obviously there's some overspray from the other paint job. Just gonna leave that on there. Not gonna try to take it off. We'll leave it like it is. But I did about half of it. And I'm not gonna say that it's a huge difference. I stopped about right here. So I'm not necessarily gonna say it's like a huge difference, but definitely looks a lot better than that. It's a lot cleaner. Some of the rust marks are gone, whatnot. So that's just cleaner. Just trying to get the extra dirt and rust stains and what I can off. And then, like I said, I'm gonna go back with that like cleaner wax, protecting wax, whatever, and wipe it all down again just to kind of brighten it up and give it a little bit of protection. So just giving you an update. That's where we're at. I got to finish cleaning the other side and then wipe it all down again while the paint and stuff's drying. So I'm gonna keep going. I'll be back with you guys in a minute. All right, got everything cleaned up, everything. Put that cleaner wax on the Firewall. Painted a couple little odds and ends just to make it look a little better. That's clean, frames painted, undercabs undercoated. And just so everybody knows, I'm not just doing the frame back to the front of the cab and leaving it. I'm gonna go underneath the truck, clean it, continue painting, and then when I pull the bed off later on for lowering it and paint, then I'll clean up and paint the back of the frame too. I just wanted to get the front done so I can put get the front going back together. It was stuff I could work on right now. So, ready to see it? Here it is. There's the green it's gonna be. Cleaned up. I went ahead and painted the stub on the steering column because it was all rusty to make it look a little better. I painted the bracket here on the AC box that holds the dryer and all that. I tested the blower motor to make sure it was good, and it was. So I went ahead and cleaned it up and painted it. I've decided not to clear coat this box because I've gotten kind of mixed reviews on whether or not you could clear coat it and it'd turn out okay. Most people said that it was either gonna fall off or it would like kind of separate and turn white. So I cleaned it the best that I could all the way around. It looks decent, but frame's painted, undercoating's all done. If you guys haven't already noticed, I'm super stoked about this thing. I don't know what else to say. I'm super stoked. I want to get it put together, get the motor in, get it running. Not just to have it done, just because I'm stoked about doing it. And I got quite a few comments on the last video after I told everybody what I found and what the plan was going to be. And it seems like there's a lot of you guys out there that are super excited about this too. So that kind of gives me a little more drive and a little more push to power on with it. But at this point, I'm waiting on paint to dry. I've got, I don't even want to say hours, I've got probably days worth of sandblasting, sanding, painting, rebuilding, suspension parts, steering parts, We did order the drop spindles. They're supposed to be in a day or two. So we'll get those, and once I get the drop spindles and the drop springs, then we can go back together with the front. So I already have the fender for the driver's side. The passenger side fender we're going to reuse. So yeah, I've got a lot of prepping and painting to do. We'll get all those parts cleaned up, painted, ready to go back on, and we can put it back together. But I've knocked this out pretty quick. I got all this stuff that I've showed you since the last video I've gotten done in a day and a half. And it's, I'm feeling it for sure. But it's looking great. I'm super happy with the way it's turning out so far. And honestly, once I got all the dirt and everything cleaned off that green, it actually looks like a little bit different color than I thought it was. But I still like it, still is what it is. It's gonna be cool. I mean, even cleaned up, it looks different than the green in here. So, but that being said, I think that's gonna do it for this video. I'm thinking here. I need to pull the seat out. I'm gonna pull the doors off. I need to pop the windshield out, stuff like that. But this video, my idea for this video was to get the or the cowl, firewall, forward, ready to go back together, and it is that. So I'm gonna get to sandblasting and cleaning up parts to start putting back on, and I'll get back with you guys another time. So if you're not subscribed, please do. If you are subscribed, thank you. Leave me a comment, hit the like button, ring the bell so you know when we come out with another video on this thing. And as always, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.